That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm just waiting till I get more people in the room, and then I'm streaming live on YouTube as well, right on my channel on YouTube. If you can hear me, all right, all right. Let's go. Let's go. If you can hear me, right, let's go. All right. Yep, we're going to start right away. Going to start right away. We're going to start right away. Okay. 7 damaging consequences of no asset protection. That is the topic today. So if you're joining me, my name is Helen or Red Job B, and I'm glad to be here today once again. It's been a minute here once again to talk about something very, very important that we might overlook, right? So now the question now is, did you know that unexpected event could wipe out everything you have worked hard for, right? So imagine spending everything, right? Spending every decade, everything you have, spending your time, your resources, decades of building wealth, only to lose it overnight due to a lawsuit, medical emergencies, or financial misstep. Just imagine this, picture this, right? Scary, right? If it's not sounding scary to you, I don't know what it is, right? Now, guess what? What matters is that many people tend to focus on making money. You focus on making money, but you forget the most important part or the most important thing to do, which is protecting the hard-earned money that you make. That is very crucial, right? The fact that you work hard to make money, guess what? You're forgetting to put protection on the hard-earned job that you have done, right? Without the right asset protection in place, your wealth, your business, and even your family's assets, your family's financial future could be at a major, major risk. Lawsuit, medical bills, taxes, and predators or creditors, right, can take away everything you have worked for so hard to build. But the good news is you can prevent this, right, with the right strategies in place. Like I say, my name is Helen or Red Joby. I'm a licensed financial professional, right? I specialize in reducing taxation, maximizing your profits. I also specialize in asset protection and estate planning and legacy planning, right? So what to expect in this video that you're about to, go into, right? If you're joining me on Facebook, if you're joining me on Instagram, if you're joining me on YouTube, right? We're streaming live right now on all platforms. Guess what? Today, I'm breaking down the 7 major financial disasters that can happen when you don't, have asset protection. And trust me, guess what? Trust me, you don't want to be caught off guard by these, challenges, like I'm going to say. Plus, I'll share real life examples to show you just how, I've been able to help some families. Most of them, they got it hard, right? Because they failed to put, right, the protection in place, right? It's just like you jumping out of an aeroplane, right? You're jumping out of an aircraft without, having a parachute. You've jumped and you're like, oh, Helen, my goodness, I should have put one on. Yes, that's what it simply means. Before jumping out of an aircraft, you should have your parachute on. And then when you jump, it comes on and protects you and help you to land safely instead of you crashing, right? But guess what? Stick around to the end. Also give you practical steps so you can, take to secure your financial future, right? So I'm going to quickly dive in right now onto this topic, which is very, very crucial, right? So now, guess what, right? Topic number 1, right? Now, um I know I probably say this all over and all over again. Like I said, the 7 consequences that you see on here is: number one, loss of wealth due to lawsuits; number two, medical bills draining your finances; and then number three, unexpected death, leaving family members right in crisis; number four, business and investment risk. Yes, it's a possibility that if you don't have the right things in place, guess what? Your business and your investment can turn out to be a risk, and it can also result in your asset being in under scrutiny or under danger, right? Now, number five, creditors coming after your hard-earned money, right? These are the consequences of no asset protection in place. Number six here is estate planning or estate taxes eating away your legacy. Most people do not understand that there's certain levels to this thing, right? There's something called estate taxes, right? Estate taxes can eat into your legacy if you don't have the right, financial protection put in place early, right? And lastly, the number seven one is no control over your financial future, right? So, like I said, we're going to take a deep dive into all of this. I see some people on Facebook, I see some people on Instagram, right? We're streaming live on YouTube as well. Right, so you could probably want to jump into the YouTube so you can see like the visuals and all that. Now, guess what? The number one thing here is loss of wealth due to a lawsuit, right? Are you aware, right, that without legal asset protection, guess what? Your personal savings, your homes, your businesses can be at risk in lawsuits. Are you aware of that? I'll give you a couple of examples of people that I've encountered, right? That have been through all this. But then guess what? I'll also tell you the solution to it. And we can sit down, right, and work on these structures. It's something that is super easy, but guess what? You need to work with a licensed financial professional to get this done, right? I'll tell you a story about a doctor. A doctor, gets sued for malpractice because most of them tend to do all kinds of shady stuff, right? Since he did not separate his assets, his personal bank account, and his home are seized to cover the settlement, right? There's several cases like that. Another case is a restaurant owner who is sued by a customer, who slipped and fell right on the business premises, right? Now, guess what? Without business liability insurance, right, she has to sell her restaurant to pay legal fees, right? The landlord who owns several properties but has no LLC, right? And there's a clue to that, right? And has no LLC. When a tenant sues for injury, his personal savings and other assets are used, in most cases to pay for the damages, right? Now, I tell you a story about a successful business owner again. These are stories that you hear, but because it hasn't happened to you, doesn't mean you don't have to put some checkpoints to make sure that this doesn't, affect you in future, especially if you are heading towards earning 7 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, and 8 figures. You need to consult a licensed financial professional like myself so we can get this done for you. Now, a successful business, small business owner gets sued by a former employee for an accident that happened on the company premises without any legal protection. Same thing. If you don't have this protection in place, like I said, just like you jumping off an aircraft, if you don't have a parachute before you take that jump, it's almost late, right? Now, guess what? The solution here could just be maybe they should have sat with somebody that is licensed to give them an LLC to put some structures in place, or they would have gotten an umbrella insurance or asset protection trust. A living trust would have solved a lot of stuff, right? Would have solved a lot of stuff for you. Now, quickly, let's go to number two, right? So number two here says medical bills draining your finances. Now, what is the industry that drains the most finances in the world? And then let's narrow it down to America, right? Medicals, because a lot of us work so hard. We work multiple jobs, other people's jobs, give me your shift. Nobody is actually taking time to pay attention to what you eat, pay attention to the environment, pay attention to everything, including clothes that you wear. Are you aware that Now, there's certain fabrics and certain things that you put on your body can permeate your bloodstreams and can harm you. What are those checkpoints you're putting in place, even for your little children, right? As young children right now stand a chance of having, terminal illnesses, cancer, and what have you, right? So unexpected medical expenses can wipe out your life, savings without the right protection. I always say this: don't be that person that after you get hurt or after it happens, you're not trying to do like a fire brigade move. No, do it before it gets to that point, right? So an example is a father who suffers a heart attack and is unable to work for months, right? Without disability insurance, he loses his income and accumulates medical bills. Now, guess what? The simple thing for that father to have done was he would have gotten a term with living benefits. What that means is, oh, Helen, say for instance, I don't know what will happen in the future because nobody knows what will happen in the future. We just get up every day and live by the grace of God, right? Now you step out of your house and something were to happen to you, or you felt sick, right? And you're unable to go out every day to give the skill that you render to get income. Now, once income is caught up, guess what's going to happen, right? You will need to sustain yourself and your family for those number of weeks that you're not able to go and render those skills to get that income, right? So because your income and your skill is tied together, guess what happens, right? Now you will need some form of cushion to say, okay, now that I'm not able to go out due to a medical condition, guess what? I should mandate the insurance company to pay me while I'm alive. That is a term with living benefit, is very, very cost effective, very, very affordable. It will in turn become income replacements for you at that point, right? And guess what? You take out those funds and keep paying the bills. You don't have to worry about, moving out of the zip code that you are currently living in, or, or eviction of, foreclosure of your home or whatever the case may be, right? So another example is a single mom, right, diagnosed with cancer, had treatment cost over $100,000, and without coverage, she had to declare bankruptcy. All of this is not necessary. It's the same thing. If anything were to happen to you, critical, chronic, or terminally, under the insurance law, if you had it before you took that jump, if you had it while you were well, while you were young, while you had everything in place, guess what? It will kick in now and become income replacement for you. You'll be able to afford the right doctor. Picture this, that you had to go to any other hospital just because you're unable to pay for the cost of a specialist to look into your case. Money answered a lot of things, even scripture says so. But what you need to do, you need to act smart. Just the way you have insurance on your phones, your gadget, and everything, you need to put insurance on the most important aspect or the most important asset that you have, which is you. You are the most important asset that you have. Now, guess what? All of this I've said is in line with what we're talking about, right? It's in line with what you're talking about. Guess what? Like I said, you just need to have the right protection on you. Now, the third thing, or the third, damaging consequences of not having asset protection on time, is that unexpected death leaving your family in a crisis. Guess what, right? This is crucial. Everybody, tend to know, the date of their birth because your mom told you, hey, you were born on so day, blah, 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 and all that. But nobody knows the date of our death. Now, because you don't know this, guess what? Lack of life insurance and estate planning can lead to financial hardship for, surviving family members that you leave. If you say, I love my children, I love my wife, I love my spouse, I love my husband, you should do the right thing right now by putting the right protection, right, on you, so that you're able to keep that family, put the roof over their family head, and keep that family living long after you're gone, right? Now, I'll tell you a story about a 40-year-old man suddenly dies in an accident, leaving behind a wife and a child, right? Now, guess what? Since he has no life insurance in place, remember, you have to have that parachute before you take that jump, right? We know this is nothing you can control, but we all know it eventually happen, right? We just pray and wish that it doesn't happen right now. Now, guess what? His family members struggle to afford, right, to paid the mortgage because, yeah, he was the major breadwinner. It could happen both ways, right? A single mom of three, or, passing without a will. Her assets are frozen in probate court for 2 years. What is probate, Helen? Now, I'll tell you, probate is situation where somebody dies, right? Immediately somebody dies, they're going to flag that social security number, and then they're going to freeze all your assets. It could be in checking accounts, savings accounts, anything that you have, right? Even if you have CDs, IRAs, 401ks, all of those stocks and bonds, they're going to be frozen. And it takes about 2 months to 2 years, right? What they're going to do, they're going to try to look at your debt. Are you owing medical bills? Are you owing anybody, student loans, all kinds of stuff like that? Now, for some of you that don't have money, yeah, that's fine. But like I said, this is for people that are towing towards 6, 7, 8 figures, and it's easy to get that, right? But once you start getting assets, if you own a home, if you own stuff, you want to make sure that you have all these checkpoints in place, right? Now they're going to garnish that money, and then the court system is going to decide, right? They're going to pay out stuff. You're going to have to pay for legal fees and all that. And then guess what? Your assets will be split in different ways, and all the headaches and all that. That's why people go do GoFundMe, because their bank's accounts are frozen. It doesn't matter if it's a joint account between you and your spouse, it's going to be frozen, right? So you want to do the right thing right now, right? Another example is a family business owner, right? Dies without a succession plan, right? His heirs have to sell the business because they couldn't afford estate taxes. Estate tax is a major thing, right? Are you aware if you own asset up until $5.5 million in coverage? What is an asset? An asset is everything that you own. It could be your car, your house, your stocks, bonds, investments, your life insurance put together. If you get up to, that's threshold of 5.5, right? That's the limit. They're going to tax you, right, on estate taxes. And sometimes it's usually between 48% to 55%, right? Now, guess what? They're going to demand this money from your heirs 180 days after the owner of the asset passes on. They're going to go and ask them to pay money. Now, do you have about $2.75 million to pay if you have an asset of over 5.5 million? That's the minimum you get to pay. Do you have that money sitting somewhere that your family can easily let go and pay up so they can retain all that you've got? So these are the questions I want you to start thinking of, especially if you are thinking of getting on the wealth game. You have to put protection on everything that you have. Now, guess what? Now, Helen, are you saying I only have to have 5.5? Yes, if you're a citizen, but if you're not a citizen, if you're a green card holder, or and you live in America and you have asset of over $60,000, 6,000 is the limit that you can have. They're going to still freeze down your 60,000 and above. So don't think about it. So the 5.5 is for citizens, and the 60K, right, is for people that are not US citizens, right? So your best bet, right, is to do something that is called having a term with living benefits, having an IUL, which is an index universal life, and then having a will and a trust, properly structured trust, and an estate planning. These are things that I told you I'm a specialist in. We can actually help you set that and get your estate going. Now, another consequence, right, that might arise if you don't have the right asset protection in place is called business and investment risk, right? Business and investment risk. Business and investment risk is something that most people don't think of. But I'll tell you, a poorly protected business and investment decisions can lead to financial ruins, right? So if you ever want to start up a business, you need to start from the structure. What is the business structure you have? What is it looking like, right? To some people, they will like, oh, Helen, I don't want nobody to know that I'm the owner of the business, right? But if you have a business, right, in most states in America, your business is already exposed. They already know who the owner is, right? So there's certain states in America that you can own a business, and then there's going to be a block. Nobody knows who owns it, and it gives you extra protection. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about you having something, right? Some form of stuff. It could be an LLC, it could be a corporation, C corp, S corp, whatever you want to do, right? Liability, what are those things you're looking to check, and then diversifying your investment strategies, right? So I'll tell you a story about a realtor, right, that I know. I used to be a realtor in Africa, right? I'm about to pick up that license here in America as well. Now, guess what? Now, this realtor friend of mine, right, owns multiple rental properties under his name. Rule number one, you need to learn to separate yourself from your asset, right? If nobody ever told you that, if you want to play the game the wealthy people play, you want to be able to put a protection, separate yourself from your asset. Because guess what? You basically don't own anything in America, right? But you can be in control of everything if you play smart, right? So that's another topic for another day, right? Now, guess what? A tenant sues them for an accident on the property and they lost, not only the rental income, but personal savings as well, his bank account. Sometimes your bank account can be garnished. If somebody knows you have a lot of asset and they have a badass, attorney that can go after your wealth, you could probably lose everything like this, right? So you want to put protection. Don't play cheap. If you're going into business, do the right things before you start. Don't be in a haste. That's why you have feasibility study. You want to work with professionals that can help you. And if you don't have anybody within your space, reach out to me. The link is in the bio, right? If you're watching on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching or connecting right now, the links are in the bio. You want to book a free consultation with me. Let's look at what you have and we work and set up something for you. Now, another example is a small business owner, that gets sued for an unhappy client. How many times have you gone to a restaurant and you ate and you found hair and you found nails or you found something very disgusting or you went home with food poisoning? Are you aware that people can sue? Do you know how many cases that people have out there? You need to be smart, right? Set up a business. Right now, everybody just go register, LLC, and they set up businesses and all that. You need to know what is involved, right? You need to understand that if a properly set up business stands the chance, unlike an improper, set up business, right? And then lastly, stock investor takes out a personal loan to invest in the market, right? The market crashes and he ends up in debt with no way to recover because the market is volatile. You don't take money and go put in the money market directly. You need to find out what the banks do. I save money where the banks save money, so I don't keep money in the banks, right? We take the money, go straight to the place where the banks put money. Now, I'll tell you, the banks put money in life insurance, products, and they also put money in real estate. That's where you ought to put your money if you ought to be smart, right? Now, the next one on here, another consequence is that my result or my come up, right, if you don't have the right, protection in place, is creditors coming after your hard-earned money. Now, we see this a lot, right? Why do you have to expose yourself to all these people? Guess what? Most of this credit or these debts have been paid up, right? They've been written off as tax write-off. But why do you expose yourself, right? Without an asset protection plan in place, I mean a solid, tight asset protection plan in place, right? Your wealth can be seized by creditors, right? Now, guess what? A man could sign a loan for his friend's startup, which fails. And since his personal assets were not protected, creditors seize his car and his savings, right? There's certain things that is a no-no. Common sense should come into play, right? Because you know yourself. Sometimes most people don't even trust themselves, not to talk of this other person that just gives you a word of mouth. Oh, don't worry, I'm going to take care of this. Just sign here for me, right? In America, you put your signature, you append your signature on anything for anybody. Just know that you are responsible for that thing, right? Stop playing, I don't want to use another strange word. Be smart, right? Now, guess what? You need to make sure that before you go ahead and sign for anybody, it could be your kids, it could be your spouse, whatever, make sure your assets are protected because different things happen. You could have a divorce case and then you're left with that debt, whatever the case may be. You could sign for your friend turns around and you're no more talking to that person and then relationship scatters. That is not a relationship call today, right? I know this is Valentine period, right? But we're not talking about that today, right? Another example I'll give you is a homeowner, right, that defaults on a business loan, right? Since their house wasn't placed in a trust or a properly protected entity, it gets foreclosed. A trust is so easy. Please get a living trust, right? It doesn't cost you anything. My link is in the bio. Let's sit down and help you set up a living trust. A trust is going to put that protection on what you own, right? And give you that peace of mind. A trust even lives on after you. Go figure out what the Rockefellers are doing, right? Anyway, now the third example I'm going to give you here before I move to the next one is a person with a high medical debt that gets sued by the hospital. Yes, hospital sues as well, right? The court ordered, wages, to be garnished and then leaving them to struggle. Most people think they're playing smart, but guess what? Once they want to come after you, they're coming after you. So you want to put serious protection in your stock. The best solution here is to set up an asset protection trust, right? And then get a life insurance plan that can help you as well, right? There's several things you can do to protect yourself. Bank where the bank, right? Where the bank go. Don't bank with the banks. The bank's already taking your money and then putting them where they put the money, where we that are licensed, what we teach you to do, that's where the banks are putting their money. And then guess what? They come back and give you a misery amount of 0.1%, except you have, some form of high yield savings account, which not everybody is privy to have, right? You want to put your money where the bank put their money, right? You need to do what is called a family banking strategy. I could set that up for you or educate you. Remember, we don't take money from you. We sit with you and educate you on the processes. I currently have lots of workshop going on. You want to find out about the workshop, DM me and I'll set up a time where you can do a one-on-one or we do a webinar where I do the workshops for you to learn and go, help your community. Another consequences, right, before we wrap up is estate taxes, like I said, eating away your legacy, right? So lack of estate planning means, right, your heirs, your children, your grandkids could lose a significant portion of their inheritance, right? The Bible says, or the good book says, right, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children's children. Now, the question that I want to ask you right today is, are you going to leave an inheritance or are you going to leave them with debts, right? Most people think, oh, I'm going to leave my kids with a house I finished paying for. Now, guess what? You don't understand that if you don't know about estate taxes, right, income taxes and all that, you're going to be leaving your kids with a debt, right? You're going to leave your grandkids with debt. That's why when they foreclose those homes, your children don't know what to do because they thought, oh, grandma, grandpa, or mom or dad, worked so hard and left this for me. And you didn't educate them. You need to join the workshop, right? It's a free workshop. Join to learn the in-depth and know the strategies. And if you feel free, you want to work with us, go ahead and do that. But if not, hey, we're not taking any money from you. We're just out here to educate people, right? We get paid for educating people anyway, so you better tap in, right? So I'll tell you an example of a wealthy entrepreneur who dies leaving 10 million in assets without tax planning, right? Guess what? 40% of it goes into the IRS instead of his children. Now, if you want to know how to be IRS friendly, you want to tap in and let me get this set up for you. Let's do that thing for you, right? There's setting loopholes in the law that allows you to escape paying so much in taxes. Ask the rich fellas, ask the 5%ers or the 1%ers. They understand this strategy. The financially savvy people understand this strategy. You need to tap into this, right? Another example is a woman, inherits her husband's property, right? And then guess what? She can't afford to pay estate taxes, right? So she's forced to sell below market rate, right? Because when, like I told you, when somebody passes on 180 days, right, they're going to come asking if you have, that threshold limit, right? You're going to come asking and you want to be ready. You want to be ready. You're not going to be saying, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't think I was ready. No, nobody takes the cry for anything, right? They're going to take the money, right? It's a law. They're going to take the money. Ignorance here is not an excuse, right? A successful business person, right, that wants to make sure they pass on and leave an asset for their children, like the names that you see, the Walmart, the big names that you see, the owners have long gone, but the properties and the businesses are still standing. It's simply because they put a trust, right? They put a trust. And guess what? They have something in place to avoid probate. A trust will help you avoid probate, right? And it will make sure that your children live on to inherit what you put in. And then guess what? If you have a trust is you still talking even from when you're far gone. You put instructions in the trust and you say, hey, at this point, if you're not married, you're not going to get an accepting asset, a percentage of my money. Your kids are going to get this. You put structures. There's a structure. There are different kinds of trust, but the one that I'm going to recommend for you is called a dynasty trust, right? I could list about 10 different types of trust for you, but I'm talking about a dynasty trust to make sure that you don't disinherit your children and your legacy, right? Now, one other thing I want to talk about briefly before we wrap up, I have a client coming up in a couple of minutes, right? Is no control over your finances. This is the last one I'm going to talk to you about. A lot of us think we got it all together, right? We're making money right now, especially when you're young. You think everything's going to be like this. Now, if you haven't checked, the price of eggs is way, way high. Go figure that out in the grocery store. Everything across the globe, economics have changed. Taxes are on the rise, right? In future, taxes will be on the rise. I don't see most things coming down, but you got to be smart, right? Now, without the right financial plan in place, right, you risk an unstable future. And guess what? Financial struggles. I don't pray this for anybody, but I'm going to tell you a story about some of the people that we've encountered, right? In this business, we're seeing all kinds. That's why we're coming up now to sensitize you, because we need you to understand what your implications are, what the consequences of not starting early is, right? A high, income earner spends everything and saves nothing. Most of you, yeah, you have a good job right now. If you work in tech, I'm an IT engineer. I have masters in information technology, but guess what? I feel, fulfilled talking to people about financial education, because guess what? The burden that I pull from listening to people complain about money, it gets to me. So I'm like, okay, if I know the strategy and I'm licensed to talk about it, why not share it, right? It's just like you knowing the cure to cancer and you keeping that to yourself. No, I will spread it. Now that's what I'm doing. I'm spreading the cure. Now, guess what? Right? At 60 years, they realize they have no retirement savings and they must keep working. That's why you go to Walmart, you see people keep working, working, working. They've retired and they came out of retirement. So you want to make sure right now you're not spending all you have, right? Now, guess what? A young couple ignores life insurance. People are like, oh, this life insurance thing, I don't want to think about it. But guess what? When the husband passes away unexpectedly, well, I don't even like using the word unexpectedly, because we don't know, like I said, we know our birth dates because we were told, but most of us will never get to know our death date, right? Now, the wife is left with a debt, and guess what? No financial safety nets, right? No financial safety net here is really serious, right? Another woman works for over 30 years but never invests. She retires with only social security and struggles to pay for the basics expense, right? So this is what I want to talk to you about. All you got to do is have a solid retirement plan put in place, right? So simple. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a time set aside to speak with a licensed financial professional like myself. My links are in the bio. If you're watching me from YouTube today, the links is connected to the video. If you're watching right now on Instagram, on Facebook, the links are in the bio. You want to book a strategy call with me, you see, you're not paying for anything. I just want to look at what you have, and then I will educate you, through the products that we have, and get you to get the right things in place, right? Financial planning, diversification, and having the right, checkpoints in place would avoid all of this, right? Now, with this said, right, I'm wrapping up this in a minute. Like I said, I have somebody I'm supposed to be talking to in the office here. So, yep, I'm about to wrap up, right? I just wish you to book a free consultation, guess what? You work too hard to lose it all due to lack of protection, right? Don't lose everything you work hard to put in place due to lack of protection. Don't wait until it's too late, right? Book a free consultation with me to secure your assets and to build generational wealth, right? Now, to do that, like I said, the links are up in the bio. If you're watching from Facebook right now, the links are in the bio. If you're watching from Instagram, the links are in the bio. And then you can DM me as well. And then guess what? If you are watching live on Facebook, YouTube, because we're streaming live on YouTube as well right now, check out the links in the bio or you comments, right? And I will set up a time one-on-one with you and we'll look at what you have and we'll set up that right asset protection for you to mitigate any challenges or any roadblocks or any losses that you might encounter for not doing the right thing when you should. Remember, the best time to, to jump out of a plane or to get anything done, don't jump out of that plane without having your parachute on hand and make sure you test it as working before you jump. That's what you do when you put the right protection in place. So I leave you right now because I know I have somebody, I have a hot stop right now. I have somebody that's outside my door. I don't want to be rude, but guess what? Which of these risks concerns you the most? Let's talk about it in the DM. I'll see you some other time. Remain blessed. Bye-bye. So that is a wrap from here. Bye-bye. You can watch the replay later and then we'll take it from there. All right, all right, all right.